like encyclopedic in a way, where people can, yes, get really incredible and great and inspiring clothes, but also leave with something a bit more, than simply perspective or more information than they would have imagined or have been privy to in that sense. And with this collection, the first initial question was, what if Africa was the birthplace of couture?
Thebe Magugu. Thebe Magugu is a young fashion designer based in Johannesburg, South Africa. If you ask him how he came into fashion or how fashion came to him, his words would be, it was really small things. It wasn't a massive aha moment. Little things steered me in that direction. It definitely started at home with my family and my mother in particular. No one was really into fashion like that, but they had such a deep respect and love for it. Whenever we had to go to church or any sort of events, dressing up was a really important part of it. I always used to laugh at how my mom would take it a step further. When she bought a new dress, she would always ask how she should act in it. Should she be nice? Should she act rude? She understood the idea that fashion assigns a character to you. His mom bought a satellite television so they would gather and watch MTV and the fashion seasons that came and went with it. Honestly, I think this is one of the cool things to happen to you as a kid, chasing a dream, because indirectly it influenced him to start off a career as a designer in the fashion industry. Now, originally from the small town of Kimberley, he moved to Johannesburg to study fashion design, fashion photography, and fashion media from LISOF. And after winning Best Graduate Collection, he interned and worked for a selection of designers, fashion institutions, and retailers. And after 2 years, he began his namesake label, Thebe Magugu, a South African fashion brand primarily operating within the field of women's ready-to-wear. And speaking about the brand, that designer says, together with our pillar values of quality, novelty, and culture, we constantly seek new ways of presenting women with clothing that both complies with and enhances their everyday struggle. With sleek, forward-looking design, it intersects with motifs from our continent's storied past, providing smart, multifaceted clothes as valuable as they are women. So after graduating from LISOF, Magugu established his label in Johannesburg in 2016. Released in the spring-summer season of 2017, his debut collection titled Geology was featured in Vogue Italia. Magugu's following collections included Home Economics for the autumn and winter 2018 season and Gender Studies for the spring-summer 2018 season, both of which were shown at South African Fashion Week and were notably photographed on scarecrows instead of supermodels. Quite interesting, I know. This was followed by the Art History collection in spring-summer 2019 and African Studies in autumn-winter 2019. And in 2019, the same year, Magugu was announced as the winner of the International Fashion Showcase by the British Fashion Council. He then became the first African to be awarded the 2019 LVMH Young Fashion Designer Prize, which earned him €300,000 and a year's worth of mentoring from LVMH. Now, the LVMH Prize for Young Fashion Designers is a significant award because it provides emerging fashion designers with financial support, mentorship, and industry recognition, fostering innovation and sustainability in the fashion industry. Now, he says it really is a pivotal moment, and I also think it is a pivotal moment for him and also other aspiring African designers in general, because it helps build and catapult your path in the industry. Now, apart from the obvious benefits of a large sum of money, what's incredible about it is that they assign you a mentor and introduce you to all these people in the fashion space. Essentially, that is what our industry is. It really is about who you know and your access to them. Now, to have direct contact to people you otherwise would have spent years trying to reach is really incredible. They make things easier for you, essentially. Now, it really has changed my life, he says. A lot of people didn't know who I was right up to the LVMH prize. People are still just finding out who I am. The visibility it has given me has been incredible, he says on an interview with System Momentum. Now, with me, So Sunny, I personally first found out about him in 2021. It was on the cover of GQ magazine. I can't really remember what issue it was, but from the shoot on the cover, I thought he looked cool, and the logo itself just sparked some interest. Like the two people holding hands. I think that shit is fire. That shit is cool. Even the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, subsequently commended Magugu and wrote that his level of consciousness he brings to his artistry is most inspiring and distinguishes him from his contemporaries. Now, Magugu presented his debut collection at the Palais de Tokyo during Paris Fashion Week for the autumn and winter season, titled Anthro 1. Now, his first ever menswear line was released in collaboration with Dover Street Market in London in September of that year. Magugu designed a dress entitled Girl 6 Girl, which was exhibited at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 2021. And this was followed by the fingerprint knitted dress, which American singer Dionne Warwick wore in a short film directed by Solange Knowles titled Passage, which served as his entry to the 2021 International Woolmark Prize, where he was shortlisted as a finalist. Now, inspired by family, his collection Genealogy was released during Paris Fashion Week. September 2021, alongside a short film for the spring-summer 2022 season. And in early 2022, Magugu was enlisted by A7 Factory, a brand under Israel fashion designer Alba Elbaz and Swiss fashion house Richemont to collaborate on the Amigos clothing line. He partnered with German apparel company Adidas to design a tennis collection which will be worn by athletes Diana Matheson, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Jessica Pegula, and Dominic Thiem at the 2022 US Open. He collaborated with Adidas again in the same year to design a local sportswear collection, it was titled Finding Beauty. Now, he says when Adidas approached him with the collection, it was during the height of the pandemic, and felt that whatever they did needed to have like an undeniable optimism and joy, which resulted in the illustration of a woman unabashedly dancing to the rhythm in her head. It is quite a protest when thinking about the times we are in right now, or at that time during the pandemic. But while we on the Adidas campaign, same year he attained another role to design the Orlando Paris jersey. Now, in August 2022, American fashion magazine Vogue published a special feature titled Designer Swap, which saw a collaboration between Magugu and Pierpaolo Piccolo of Valentino. Now, Magugu's spring 2023 collection titled Discard Theory debuted at the Victoria and Albert Museum in October 2022 as part of London Fashion Week. He then was enlisted by Italian fashion designer Maria Grazia Chiuri to reinterpret the new look for French luxury house Dior in a limited edition capsule collection, whose proceeds will go to the Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project. Now, his fall and winter 2023 collection was titled Folk Lyrics, debuted at the Sphere Gallery in the Palais de Tokyo during Paris Fashion Week. A piece from the collection was featured in the Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City in May 2024. Now, in May 2024, Magugu opened the brand's first retail store named Magugu House on a 32 square foot plot in Dunkeld, Johannesburg. Now, what I would say makes Thebe Magugu special, I think, is what he stands for. The message he is trying to deliver. I think it's pretty clear from his first collection. If you really pay attention to all the pieces, you'll start to notice a thread of matriarchy and women empowerment throughout the designs. He is a big advocate for strong, resilient African queens, coming from Kimberley, being nurtured by women. Not only that, but women who kept the practice of culture and traditional values. He has this idea of what if Africa was the birthplace of couture. Now, this was a very interesting thought or idea, because what if Africa had been the birthplace of couture? The world's understanding of fashion, luxury, and high design would likely be very much different. Instead of Paris, a vibrant African city, perhaps Lagos or Johannesburg, maybe Cape Town, could be the global center for haute couture, influencing not only fashion but also the arts, architecture, and culture of luxury. Now, in retrospect, the designer says not being able to afford to move to Paris, London, or New York was a blessing in disguise, because it forced him to look locally in South Africa. Now, as he looks into the future, Magugu is working on expanding his empire through Magugu House, a Johannesburg-based campus that will host artist residencies, workshops, a cafe, library, event space, and more. Now, this space will serve as a hub for creativity, cultural exchange, and innovation. Now, recognizing the cultural significance of this venture, Time magazine recently named Magugu House one of the world's greatest places of 2024. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for getting this far. Let me know if you love the video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.